Hey, Forrest here. Nothing like getting paid. And with ICCU's mobile app, I can deposit checks or accept Zelle payments so the money hits my account fast. I just wish there was an app for mowing the rest of these lawns.
Right now, Lithia Ford of Boise is buying used vehicles. How much you want for the SUV?
I don't know.
Well, Lithia Ford will give you more than that.
How much more?
More than you think.
I'm not thinking anything.
I'm thinking you might get even more than that. See how much more you can get at Lithia Ford of Boise.
When it comes to concrete, we've got you covered. RowPaint.com offers custom concrete coating services for your garage, business, warehouse, and more. And we do it in one day. We are your complete concrete coatings solution.
This is Bronco Nation News Live. The best interviews, the most informed opinions, the latest breaking news, all from the top Boise State insiders. It's Mondays with Mallory, with KTIK 95.3 FM The Ticket's John Mallory. Listen to Idaho Sports Talk with Prater in the Ballgame, weekdays from 3 to 6 on 95.3 FM The Ticket and online at KTIK.com. Now, here's Johnny Ballgame and BJ Rains with another edition of Bronco Nation News Live.
Hey, how we doing? Happy Monday, folks. BJ Rains here, John Mallory. Mondays with Mallory here at Bronco Nation News Live, BroncoNationNews.com, talking sports every weekday at 9 a.m. Throughout the week here with different various co-hosts. And today it's Johnny, and you can hear him 3 to 6 with Prater on KTIK 95.3 The Ticket. And Johnny, a nice weekend for Boise State fans, man. They get the Frisco Bowl win on Saturday night. Basketball team extends the winning streak to 9 with a 20-point win on Sunday. You got signing day coming up on Wednesday. Then you get into conference play for basketball after the game against Santa Clara on Thursday. But wow, not a bad weekend. Nice time to be a Boise State sports fan right now.
That's well done, putting all that into perspective, too, even with the look ahead. I'm excited for conference play to start in the Mountain West. The Mountain West, quickly, I know we don't want to start here, has had a terrific non-conference season as a league, BJ, and has really set itself up for a nice, entertaining conference season. So, heck yeah. And Leon Rice, 9 in a row, his team's right in the mix. So, folks in this town are going to have fun this winter and spring following this basketball program with hopefully another trip to March Madness.
If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe down at the bottom of the screen there. It's a quick, easy button. Subscribe to the Bronco Nation News YouTube channel. We'd love to have you on there. It's free and easy, and then you get notified when we go live with broadcasts and stuff so you don't miss any of our future broadcasts. If you're not watching on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitter, we encourage you to go over to YouTube. It's just youtube.com/Bronco Nation News. youtube.com/Bronco Nation News, and subscribe there. And we'd love to have you. And Johnny, I guess we got to start football. I know basketball's got 9 in a row. We'll get to that later in the show. But Frisco Bowl, 35-32. You had the post-game exchange with Phil Bennett, Andy Avalos. You had the brawl during the game. You had Boise State trailing at the half and making a nice comeback. The 22 points in the third quarter of the bowl, the most ever in a single quarter in a bowl game for Boise State in bowl history. And you had them hanging on in the fourth quarter at the end with a couple stops defensively. There's a lot of angles we can take this. I know you and Prater broke it all down on Bronco Game Night after the game the other night on KBOI, but where do you want to go with this? Where do you want to start with this? Obviously, a nice win. The Broncos get to 10 wins. It's another feather in the cap. 10 wins. They get some momentum going off into the off season, and overall, I think not a great season when you lose the championship game and you lose the UTEP, but I think a solid, nice season this year.
Just about for any program, a 10-win season is a good season. For some programs, it's a great season. For some programs, it's a historic season. Here in Boise, and Bronco Nation is fortunate for them, 10 wins is a good year. And Andy Avalos, I think, needed to have a good year because last year, 7-5 is not a good year in Boise. And this year was, and just everything he had to deal with, BJ, and how he dealt with it. I think he got to his breaking point with offensive coordinator Tim Plow and possibly quarterback Hank Bachmeier. He had to make difficult decisions. He did, and at the end of the season, to go from 2-2 to 10-4, I'd say he did a terrific job. He didn't lose a league game in regular season play, 8-0, coach of the year, and for me, that bowl game, hopefully for Bronco Nation, they look back as the game and the players in particular that kick-started a new era of Boise State football, of winning, of excitement, of very high-level caliber players coming to this program and excelling. That's what that bowl game, hopefully, for Bronco Nation will turn into. For me, the bowl game, it was about the young kids, Taylor Green and Ashton Genty, especially, BJ. He finished with 962 yards all-purpose this year, 976. Ashton Genty as a true freshman. I mean, we were talking last year, well, can he have more than Cyrus Habibi-Likio did in that role last year? Yeah, he almost doubled him. So, yeah, he had more. So, for me, it's that game. It's kind of the breakout game for Genty and Taylor Green to put their stamp on a good season here. And, hey, we got 256 days until you'll probably be taking your private jet up there real quick because you'll probably have another function. But 256 days until UW in Seattle, week 1. Let's start the talk.
That is going to be an exciting offseason with a big game like that in the first game to start with their quarterback coming back. And, yeah, that's going to be fun. But we'll worry about Washington a little later. But you mentioned Ashton Genty, 178 rushing yards on 28 carries. It was a career night for Ashton Genty, no doubt about it, with what Taylor Green did as well. He was really impressive running the ball and had a couple nice long touchdown runs, passed for a touchdown as well. 119 was the number for him, career high 119 rushing yards for Green. So you get both your, freshmen running for over 100 yards. You saw what Latrell Caples did. He had a couple nice catches as well. And then even defensively, a guy like Alexander Tubner had 13 tackles, and he's coming back next year, which gives you a little bit of, it makes you feel maybe a little bit better about a guy like Jail. Even see a guy like that do that in his last game of the season. But offensively, man, I'm right there with you. You're probably going to lose George Halani. And I don't know if that 7 carries was just a game plan thing. Get him a few carries, keep him healthy, and let Ashton take over, or if he tweaks something. But I don't expect George Halani back next year. And then John Ojukwu's gone, the 6-year left tackle. But you could have everybody else back from that offense, Johnny, if you wanted to. Riley Smith could come back. You could have the rest of your starting linemen all use their COVID years and come back. You could have 4 of your 5 starters back. You could have Caples. Sounds like you're going to have Cobbs. You have McAllister, Bowens, Genty, Green. I mean, if Bush Hamden can come in, Bush Hamden's coming in with some nice pieces. It really is scary, Johnny, if you get all these guys back. I don't want to hype it up too much, but this does have the potential to be a pretty darn good offense next year.
Halani's a big question because I'm just going to be honest, man. I've never seen a game that George Halani has played in 4 years that impressed me more than the game I just saw Ashton Genty play in. I thought it was a different level of play, man. And if George comes back, I don't want that to infringe upon the touches I think Bush Hamden is going to want to give Ashton Genty. Ashton Genty is prime. He's ripe. He's going to be ready to go to have a really good season next year. Not say Jay Ajayi, Brock Forsey, Doug, McWeapon, like they've had monster running backs, Madison, but it's going to be approaching that neighborhood, I think, what Ashton Genty is going to be able to do next year. Now, Ashton Genty won't get the benefit in his career of having a quarterback that doesn't want to run, right? Taylor Green is going to take a lot of yards on the ground, and that's fine. So Genty might not be a 1,700 yard back like some of the last guys I named. But back to Halani, I don't know where he fits in to the offense next year, man. I don't know if he would want to come back in that role. I think George Halani, you've said it all year. This is his 4th year essentially being the starter. I don't think he can improve his stock coming back. I think George Halani, hire an agent, find a place to work out for the next few months and get ready. Hopefully receive a combine invite. I don't know if he will. Hopefully get a combine invite. If not, kick some butt on your pro day here, and I think you'll be in a camp. I don't think you get drafted, but someone's going to give you a look.
I agree with you on that. I think if you had to put money down, like real money, I would think you'd have to take the not getting drafted side. And that's nothing against George. I just think the way it is with running backs, and maybe he gets in that 6th, 7th round. But but I don't know. Coming back, you'd have to have another 1,000+ yard season to improve his stock, if it would improve his stock. And I don't think it makes much sense. So I would not expect George to be back. I asked him point blank, is Saturday your last game down there in Texas? And he really didn't want to answer the question, kind of chuckled. So we'll see. But, and you do have Breezy Dubar coming in, the running back, the 4-star running back, who a lot of people are comparing, Johnny, to Ashton Genty in terms of a bigger back that can come in as a true freshman and contribute. And I stood next to him and interviewed him, man, and the guy physically ready to go as a freshman, man. He was much bigger than I anticipated. I remember when we first saw Ashton Genty at one of the spring practices, we were like, wow, that dude is built. Mm-hmm. And this guy looks like it's going to be very similar. So I think if Genty takes over as the number 1, Dubar comes in and can be that number 2. They like what Elion Noah did. You have Crow back. I mean, there's some guys still there. I think the running back position is going to be fine. You do have Austin Bolt coming back healthy, hopefully next year as well. So, I mean, this offense is just loaded with guys for next season. The question for me, Johnny, is going to be the defense. You obviously lose Skinner. You lose Matlock. You lose Tyreek Jones. You lose Zeke Noah. For sure. You maybe lose Dimitri Washington. You maybe lose DJ Schramm. You lose Caleb Biggers for sure. I mean, you had potentially 8 of the 11 starters gone, Johnny, from the defense from that game the other night. So, or just in general, 8 starters not coming back next year. So for me, it's going to be the defense. If the defense can be serviceable, I think the offense puts up a lot of points, and I really do think there, for good reason, should be some hype around this team going into next season, Johnny. I don't know if they'll start in the top 25, but they should be close to the top 25, and I think this team, particularly with the schedule that they have, they got a chance to make some noise next year.
It's the toughest non-con I've seen in Boise State football history, man. It is. I mean, and like you said, if they're not ranked, if they win in Seattle week 1 against probably a Husky team that'll be ranked 8th, 9th, 10th, or 11th, you'll be ranked after that. But then you're going to have to come to the Blue for the season opener and beat UCF, who also might be ranked at that point, right? You might have 2 ranked teams, Power 5 teams. Don't forget, UCF will be wearing a Big 12 patch on their jersey when they come to the Blue next year. That's year 1 for them in the Big 12, BJ. And I'm excited to see that freshman that you mentioned there. I mean, think about this, Joe. Ashton Genty, had 178 rushing yards, I think it was. I think that might be exactly the same number as George Halani's career high against Utah State a couple years ago. I think it's like 178 right there. So I can't wait to see what that kid's going to do moving forward on that, BJ. And to the defense, if you can flip it, and I mean this year, Boise State season over, they ranked 57th out of 131 teams in scoring, 29.5 points a game, 57th in the country. Defensively, they ranked 17th in the country out of 131 teams, giving up 19.5. So the average score of Boise State this year was 29-19. If they can somehow flip that, and the offense can score 33, 35-ish, and the defense can give up 24, 25-ish, it might not matter. I think this team desperately needs DJ Schramm to use his COVID year. Come back, be the savvy vet, be the leader here, help some young kids with the development. He's razor sharp, DJ Schramm, and it depends on what DJ wants to do. He wants to play another year. Maybe he wants to go to a grad program somewhere else that Boise State doesn't offer. He's a mechanical engineering major. He wants to design football helmets and make them less likely to deliver concussions, is the term, or what he's trying to help the concussion problem in football. There's other stuff the kid wants to do in his life, so I won't blame him, but it's going to be young and fresh next year defensively. Will Tubner be next year's Schramm? The guy that everybody's like, he's starting. I don't know. Is he more of a backup? Because every time Tubner plays, he plays well. He just doesn't look like J.L. Skinner. Not many people do, right? So maybe if Tubner gets a shot in that role next year, he can have a pretty good season. But yeah, defensively, we'll figure out. And you got to keep Danielson Everybody hears rumors about what Big 12 team might try, or Power 5 team might come in and try to poach, offer $300,000-$400,000 more. That's massive money. We'll see.
I do think that he's going to get a nice raise. Whether it's enough to keep him, we'll see. But it sounds like from talking to Jeremiah Dickey, you can't have an offensive coordinator making $400 and a defensive coordinator making $300. I think it's going to, when it's all said and done, just reading between the lines, assuming Danielson stays, I think that those are pretty comparable. I don't know if he gets quite to $400, but I think you're going to see a nice raise, well deserved for Spencer Danielson. You're taking a little shrapnel here in the text chat, Johnny. Derek says Helani was a second-team All-Mountain West running back, should have been first, and Genty only averaged 0.1 yards per carry better than George. Johnny is being disrespectful to George Helani. He said, I love Genty, but come on, man.
I just saw what I saw. I've never seen George Helani play a game as well as Ashton Genty just played as a teenager. Sure, George would be awesome if he came back, but I don't think next year, you think whoever that commenter is, and that's cool. Derek, you think if Helani came back, it would be the same ratio of carries with Helani to Genty, where Helani's going to have 2.5 times the carry? I just don't think that's the case. And I don't think that benefits George's future coming back and being like a 50-50 split carry back with. George is terrific, but I don't put George in a Boise State neighborhood of Brock Forsey, Jay Ajayi, Doug Martin, Jeremy McNichols, Alexander Madison. George is awesome. He's not in those guys' neighborhood. If you watch Boise State a long time, anybody would know that they were different. And I think George is good, but he's not an all-timer at this school. And there's hope maybe that Genty can be. That's all I was saying. Yeah.
Hey, we're broadcasting from the Cutwater Can Cocktail Studios. Pick up one or more in there 30 flavors of premixed premium cocktails at your local gas station or grocery store. Rowpaint.com has that special going on. BNN 15. Use the promo code BNN 15. You get 15% off the interior painting of your home. So if you're looking for some tidy up the inside of your home with some new paint projects this winter, perfect time. You get 15% off using that promo code BNN15. Lithia Ford of Boise had my F-150 waiting for me at the airport yesterday. So happy that I made the switch over to Ford. Had been a previous different kind of car user, and now I love my Ford F-150. Lithia Ford of Boise. You can do what I do. Go online, lithiafordboise.com. Find the vehicles you like. Go on in, test drive them, and in a couple hours, you're on your way. Check them out, lithiafordboise.com. And Idaho Central Credit Union, ICCU.com. Just deposited a check from Matt Bauscher this morning, Johnny, using the ICCU mobile app. It's so easy to use. It's so easy to use. You just go onto your phone, you take a couple pictures, and you're good to go. I love the mobile app and how easy it is. You can get more information, ICCU.com. Johnny, back to the game, though. Boise State got off to a sluggish start. They're down 10-6 at halftime. Really couldn't get a lot going. What did you make of you and Winston there in the second quarter? I thought that was fun, by the way, doing the playback, thing where you and Johnny were hanging out. It seemed like there was really good viewership on that and had a lot of fun. So kind of as a side story, I thought that was fun and appreciate you doing that there in the second quarter, and hope that guys and folks that watched that enjoyed it. And we may try that for some road basketball games or something, Johnny, if you're interested in it. But that was fun. But that first half, man, and particularly that second quarter, the defense was hanging. Zeke Noah had the pick, but the offense just really couldn't get a lot going. Had to settle for 2 field goals. And, the North Texas defense was giving up a lot of points, man. They were like 120th in the country in yards allowed, and I thought Boise State was going to run all over them. And that first half, they just really couldn't get it going. But that second half, they came out 2 straight touchdown drives to start the third quarter. And whatever they did at halftime and the adjustments that Dirk Cutter and his staff made, they flipped the switch. As I said, 22 points in the third quarter was the most ever in a bowl game in a quarter. They had the nice little fake, good for Connor Riddle and Coach Kent Riddle, that he got to throw the 2-point conversion there on the little trick play. But overall, man, a tale of 2 halves, and that offense was much better in the second half.
Yeah, and Dirk stuck with the run, and it popped, and that was great. They didn't panic on that. They stayed committed probably to what they wanted to do the entire game, which was run the hell out of the football. That's what Dirk Cutter's been trying to do and do very successfully this season. And Bronco Nation will miss him. That was a terrific deal. I think 2022, we'll look back on it. The year Cutter came back and kind of kick-started the program, gave it that jump start that it needed. And I don't know. Football's weird, right? Sometimes you have a shitty half. I don't know. I mean, and sometimes it doesn't work. And sometimes what they're doing is working, and then it will flip. Did they say, because I listened to a lot of the post-game press conference stuff, and everybody was asking hey, what adjustments were made, but no one wanted to give a serious answer. They it's almost like they stuck with the original game plan, and sometimes you do that. It'll pop eventually. Let's just stay with it, and it did, and it was a historic second half for them, and a lot of fun for Bronco Nation to see those two freshmen, those kids come out there and just dominate that North Texas defense. And then you have the stuff at the end. I mean, kind of a fun bowl game. Boise State never wants to play North Texas again, though, I'll tell you that. Not in the non-con, certainly not in a bowl game, because it probably means you're playing in the Frisco Bowl again. Hopefully you never see North Texas again on your schedule. But it was a fun bowl game in the first half, BJ. I don't know.
You could still be talking, Johnny.
No, I don't know, man. First half was good. This is what the program needed, though, BJ. They needed Taylon Green sitting there on the stage following the game, a trophy. They haven't brought one of those home in a bowl game, since 2017, BJ? So hopefully they're going to have a nice spot for that in the trophy case. And I think it's a big thing to win a bowl game to keep the momentum going for the next year. And on a scale of 1 to 10 for momentum that Boise State has going into next year, I'll give it a 7 or 8. I think this program, this fan base is going to be excited for what they hope is a really successful 2023 season. And I mean, come on, man. You open the season in the greatest setting in college football, as they like to call it, up in Seattle at Husky Stadium. That's going to be so much fun. Fans are going to want their ticket. It's going to be that Labor Day weekend cruise up to Seattle. Man, I can't wait to get into basketball season, but if we could just fast forward and get to mid-August right now, you wouldn't have any complaints from me.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun off season and not quite ready to turn the page yet. We'll have signing day on Wednesday, and we'll spend the next week or two trying to just continue to wrap up this season and break down some of the key players and positions. And then obviously once the calendar turns, you start getting ready for the off season and turning the page to next season. And offensively, super exciting. It could be downright scary how good this offense could be next year when you look at who's coming back and if they all do come back, in terms of, you never know nowadays, Johnny, with the transfer portal and things like that. But I will say what Taylon Green said, and I'm going to write about this in the next couple of days here. Believe it or not, Johnny, I do write stories at BroncoNationNews.com. We are going to, some of the things that he said I thought were very interesting. In terms of just, trying to uphold that standard of Boise State quarterbacks and things like that. I mean, it didn't sound like a guy that was about ready to look for a better offer somewhere else. So we'll see. But I don't think anybody has anything to be worried about in terms of fans being scared that Baylor is going to come in and swoop him away. Could he be doing a little more? Could he be making a little more NIL money here? Yes. And hopefully in the offseason, now they can turn their attention towards that here in the spring and trying to get him some more deals. But I don't think Taylon Green's going anywhere. I didn't get that sense based on what I heard him say in the post-game press conference.
I mean, why would you, right? I mean, he's a starting quarterback, a star starting quarterback, playing for a team that says Boise State on your chest. Boise State, yeah, I know they've lost a little bit of brand swagger over the years. They're not ranked in the preseason AP top 5 anymore, but it's still a legit big-name program, certainly in the group of 5. Taylon Green can get everything he wants in the future by playing at Boise State. Hopefully Ashton Genty can too. These guys are solidified themselves. You want to go for another place and maybe even compete or just for, I don't know how much money it would be. No, I think these guys are both going to stay and they're going to love it here. And I hope Taylon Green gives the Boise State fan the process of being a day 1 or day 2 NFL drafted quarterback. Boise State has never had that. Bronco Nation has seen a lot of stars go into the league, but they've never seen the star quarterback. I'm talking the Senior Bowl, the Shrine Game or whatever, the Combine, all the pre-draft stuff. I hope Taylon Green, cart before the horse, obviously, gives Bronco Nation as kind of the first quarterback in this program's history to be like a legit NFL draft prospect. By that, I mean a day 1 or day 2 pick.
Yeah, it could be exciting. That definitely will be exciting. And it was nice to see Brett Rippon lead the Broncos to a win yesterday. Good for him. And so, to have another quarterback kind of reach the next level at Boise State. They've still never had one drafted in the current 7-round draft. It looks like that might at some point come to an end here. I don't know about how high, but you would have to think if Taylor Green continues his progression that somebody in 7 rounds would take a chance on him at some point. But we'll save that conversation for another day. I want to talk some basketball real quick, Johnny, before we get out of here. But first, Ridley's Family Market, shop Ridley's.com. They got the Ace hardware attached to many of their locations. Make sure you check them out. Love the Cuno location. They make your shopping experience easy. And go download the new Ridley's app. Just search Ridley's on the App Store, and they have so many deals and specials, and you get a huge percentage off of a lot of things compared to just walking in the store and trying to purchase it. So go download the Ridley's app, and you will not be disappointed there at shopridleys.com. The Blue and Orange store, you can get free shipping over any order over $40. Free shipping. If you're looking for that last-minute Christmas gift, head on into the Blue and Orange store at the second floor of the Boise Town Square Mall there next to Pro Image. All the coaches' sideline apparel, all the gear. Check it out. You will not be disappointed. TheBlueandOrangeStore.com. And Bauscher Real Estate, the number 1 ranked realtor in the Treasure Valley, BauscherRealEstate.com. Saw him sitting courtside at the basketball game. Here he may be helping a new assistant coach, Johnny. Look for a house today. You never know what's going on with Matt Bauscher and the folks that want to use him to buy or sell a house. So BauscherRealEstate.com. And again, no home is too big or too small. Check them out, BauscherRealEstate.com. Johnny, 9 wins in a row for the Bronco basketball team. We made Lucas Milner our Bauscher Real Estate Player of the Game last night. 10 points, 7 rebounds. Nice bounce back game for him after not playing a lot. You had 17 for Degenhart. You had 16 for Abbo. Rice had a double-double with 13 and 10. Kind of a ho-hum 20-point win. They did cover the spread by 2 points. It wasn't the best game they've ever played, but you look up and they win by 20. It's 9 in a row. They're number 49 at Ken Palm. They're 10-2 in the season. The basketball team's rolling right now, man.
Leon Rice is in a good spot, huh? Boise State basketball program is in a really good spot. I mean, what was it? 2 years ago, they won 13 in a row, BJ. Last year, they won 14 in a row. Both were program records, and now they've won 9 in a row. I mean, at this point, you start talking about, it's like third straight year that Boise State fan gets to talk about this streak. Streaks are fun. Great sports radio talk, keep the streak going and all that. And, this has been impressive because I don't think this team is as talented as last year's team, and they're still winning games. Maybe this team, maybe they like each other a little more. Maybe they gel a little more on the floor together than last year's team. And I'm not taking anything away from them because last year's team had great chemistry. But they are missing Kejab, Armouche, and Akot less than I thought they would at this point, especially what I saw early in the season. Gosh, you wish you could have those free throws back opening night from Marcus Shaver against South Dakota State, right? Then this thing looks even better. But I would say this, if they now take care of business in conference play, finish first, second, or third in the league, BJ, what they've done in the non-con, and you know more about this than I do, I think their non-con resume will suffice if they can finish 1, 2, or 3 in the league to get back to the dance. But again, you follow that better, and how would you rate their Ken Palm, their net non-con ranking headed into conference play?
Oh, I mean, to have 4 top 65 wins already is huge, and we'll see how it balances out. But to be they're 4-1, I think, in the quad 1, quad 2 games. So you got a nice 4-1 record there. I think they're at number 39 in the net right now. The defensive numbers look really good. I mean, yeah, the South Dakota State one really stings. The Charlotte one's not that bad. You lost to Charlotte, but I mean, you look up and Charlotte's ranked 107th. I mean, that's a quad 2. That's a quad 2 game on a neutral court. The Charlotte game is ended up not being that bad. So it was really just a one game against South Dakota State. And even that one there, 171st. They're still basically about half, about the midway point of Division I teams. But overall, I thought that it was certainly a nice non-con, but you got to finish it off, Johnny. Scott Garson, Santa Clara, they're 115th. It's a road game. It's a high quad 2 level road game. It's a sneaky tough game. They did it at 2 p.m.
Oh, yeah.
They did it at 2 p.m. on a Thursday, so all the players could fly out to go see their families after the game for both teams. But it's just a weird time on a weekday, almost like a bowl game, mid-afternoon game on a Thursday. And if you can win this one, you go, 10 in a row into the winter break here for a couple of days into conference play. You're 11-2 on the season. It's a huge game, and it's, Ken Pom only projects them to win by 4, so it's going to be a close game. But if they find a way to win that and go into the, you look at the Ken Pom here, Johnny. I mean, Santa Clara projects them to win. At Nevada is going to be really tough to start conference play. Nevada comes in at number 85, so I mean that's a borderline quad 1 game. But then you got San Jose State, and you got a chance, Johnny, Saturday, January 7th at the X. Utah State could be 13-0 and ranked in the top 25, and Boise State could be on a 12-game winning streak and be sitting there at what would that be, 13-2 or whatever it is on a 12-game winning streak. You got a chance that you could have 13-0 versus a 12-game streak and potentially a top 25 team Saturday, January 7th at the X. It's gearing up, and then you go to UNLV. Our contest winner might see a heck of a game down there in UNLV with, a potentially undefeated, or I guess they got one loss, but a one-loss kind of UNLV team against a Boise State team on a 13-game winning streak. Who knows?
When do you announce the contest winner real quick?
That'll be January 1st or 2nd, very beginning of the year. The contest goes through December 31st. So, yeah, if you want to jump in, $70. We'll give you a year subscription. We'd love to have you, and you can enter the contest and try to win the private. I will not be the co-pilot for that one, Johnny. I'll let somebody else do that one. But that was fun yesterday. But basically, Johnny, what I'm getting at here is there's a lot of winnable games coming up on the schedule and a lot of key games. And I find it ironic, Johnny, that last year when Boise State had the 14-game winning streak, it was lost at Wyoming. At Wyoming ended the 14-game winning streak, and that. If you count them out, Boise State would be on a 14-game winning streak when they go to Wyoming again here in a couple weeks. So just kind of, and they're not the same team. They don't have EK right now, but I mean, the fact that we're even looking at this and projecting this and how many games can the streak go, when they lost to Charlotte, man, and they scored 11 points in the first half, I mean, that no one expected. I mean, we talk about the football team's turnaround. To this point, the last month plus for the basketball team has been quite the turnaround as well.
We're both putting the cart before the horse a little bit today, but I like it. BJ, if I'm a Bronco fan, I'm really nervous about Santa Clara because that's a very well-coached team. Herb Sendek, Scott Garson, that staff. They put a guy, they had a first-round draft pick last season, and they're good again this year, BJ, and they play a good basketball. If you don't dot your I's and cross your T's, you're going to lose to Santa Clara. Boise State probably has the more gifted, talented roster. But again, that's only so much of the battle here, man. If you beat Santa Clara, you really put a nice bow on non-con, huh, BJ?
Yeah.
What happens if you lose to Santa Clara? Is that a game that you could say we come back and revisit in early March and we're doing this show and you say, Johnny, man, I think that loss to Santa Clara in the last game of the non-con, that could come back to hurt their resume or possibly put them in the first 4 rather than being a 10 or 11 seed. I mean, is that one of those? Is that at stake?
No, that's good enough. It's a quality road game. It'd be a nice one to have, but I don't think it's a terrible loss if you lose it. They're ranked 110th right now. They're a solid WCC team. I think it'd be a fine loss, but like I said, but it would be a really nice win. I wouldn't call it a good loss, but it wouldn't be a horrible loss. I guess it would just be a road loss that against a decent team. So but no, you got to win that game. You get to 10 in a row, and then conference play, Johnny. I mentioned that road game at Nevada to kick it off, but you're hoping to get Marcus Shaver Jr. back. He did not play again yesterday. Somebody was asking about him. It sounds like it's day to day, and sounds like they're hoping he'll be back for Santa Clara. But if not, then I think they would fully expect him to be back for Nevada. I think they're playing the long game here, Johnny, with whatever it is. It sounds like it's nothing super serious, but they don't want it to keep being a problem. They want to get him back to 100%. And so, resting him against 2 teams you're favored by 20 plus this last week, probably smart. And we'll see if he plays against Santa Clara, but I think he is getting closer, and that's certainly good news. Kobe Young, your guy, Johnny, took a hard fall in that game, fell down hard on his ankle, it looked like, or his lower leg, had to be helped off the floor, didn't put any weight on his right leg. We'll have to wait. No update on Kobe Young, but that would be a big blow because he was just finally starting to get going a little bit.
Yeah, exactly, and they've needed him, especially with Shaver not playing. You have to go deeper into the bench. they need Shaver back. Obviously, that goes without saying. I just want to throw in the fact to see what they were able to do against Oakland yesterday. And I know it's Oakland, but without Shaver, to have that type of stat line and for all those players to have the games they had, I think says something about this team. Like, you can, if in a pinch, if you don't have your starting point guard, you can still beat a mediocre to less team. And if that's the case, then great. I mean, you're not going to beat the best teams. You're not going to beat San Diego State without Marcus Shaver Jr. But can you beat Oakland if you have to? Great. Can you get them against Santa Clara? You hope, right? Wouldn't you hope? I'll be out, duh. But what are the chances that you've been hearing that Shaver plays this week in Santa Clara? What are you hearing?
I think it's possible. I think it's close. But like I said, if they hold him out, then that means he'll be 100% likely for Nevada. So I think I wouldn't worry. I think he'll be back for sure for Nevada in conference play. They'd like to have him back Thursday. But like I said, I think right now they want to make sure this is taken care of now so that's not an issue that pops back up during conference play. We got to wrap this up, Johnny, but I do want to defend our man Jordan K on the way out here at the end. There's been a lot of talk about that the question and the answer and the whole deal that happened. If he didn't ask it, I would have, or somebody else in the room would have. I hate it. I know him and Andy. Maybe who knows? We've all had issues with Andy and the no questions and stuff throughout the year. But I'll just say this: on national TV for 15 seconds, when the two coaches are showing John in each other's face, that's a fair question. Andy may not wanted to answer it. He may not have liked that Jordan was the one to ask it, but that was 100% a fair question. To ask what everybody else in America saw and what everybody else was wondering. I had 10 people yesterday come by, and I'm not joking, literally about 10 people come by press row and say, what were those coaches talking about? What was said there at the end of the game? Everybody that watched wanted to know what those two coaches were talking about. If it was something off to the side that nobody else saw, I get it. But when it's on national TV, my opinion, that was 100% fair question for him to ask. And I know that at times, Jordan is asked about some injuries. I give Jordan credit, man. Young guy in his first football season coming in, not afraid to ask some of the quote-unquote tougher questions. And he's gotten some no comments. He's gotten some next questions. And I think that's what Andy meant, you would be the one to ask that question. But, like I said, I'm defending Jordan on this one. I thought that was a fair question. Anybody would have asked it. And, I saw some folks kind of ripping Jordan for the question or whatever else. But I thought it was fair. And I thought that, Andy's response, other than the you would ask that question part, was fine. He did, basically didn't answer the question, answered it a little bit, but just wanted to throw that in there and defend our man Jordan, because I know he's getting a little shrapnel, and I know it didn't look good when Andy kind of gave him the stare down at the end of the question, which I just didn't think was necessary. It's been a long.
Our little baby's growing up, man. Me and you have kind of, not that he's needed our advice or our help, but we've kind of brought Jordan along on being a member. This is weird. We're like the old guys in the media in this town now. When the hell did that happen? But
yeah,
Jordan's 23-year-old kid, a lot of ability, a lot of talent. If he wants to be in Boise for a long time, great. If he doesn't want to stay and lay down roots in Boise like you did, he won't have to. That guy's going to be a rising star in sports media. I think some guys just want to be the guy that asks the tough question to pick that fight with the coach to elevate their career. That's not what Jordan's doing at all. And this was the second dust up Andy Avalos has had post-game. Go back to the Troy Calhoun against Air Force. Remember that, BJ?
Yep.
2 occasions this year, Andy Avalos has not mind calling out or getting after whatever a coach at the 50-yard line. That's Andy's persona, his personality. Go be you. Do you. But yeah, that was a big deal on national television. The question had to have been asked, and I don't doubt. Yeah, if Jordan wouldn't have asked the question, I know you would have. But good for Jordan, and Andy stared him down. I didn't see the stare down though.
Real long stare down at the end, and I mean, we got to get out of here. I don't know if we have time to play it or not, but it was. Yeah, I thought
you have it. You have it.
I do. If you want to see it real quick.
Yeah, play it real quick, and then I do got a jet. But yeah, right. I'm going to see this.
Don't get us in trouble with JP here, man. Come on. We let's see here. Avalos, Phil Bennett. We'll play it right here. It's 45 seconds. Here's the whole exchange with the stare down at the end.
Andy, there was a lot going around afterwards on social media and stuff, and there were some tensions during the game, and afterwards you and Phil were kind of in an argument. What was kind of said there, and where were your frustrations?
You would ask that question. And I'm just going to say this. I'm not going to answer your question. I'm going to just say this. I have the utmost respect for Coach Bennett and who he is as a coach and a man, but there's certain things going on in the game that I'm more concerned about our players. And at the end of the game, when the whole team comes together, I can care less about anything else but our players and making sure that we leave that field with class and integrity.
There it is, about a 4 or 5 second stare down at the end. And again, it's been a tough season for all of us, a long season, Johnny. You know, the coaches put in a ton of hours, the media members put in a ton of hours. I get it. He was happy he won the bowl game. I just didn't think the stare down or you would ask that question type thing was necessary. But I do think it might have had more to do with some of the previous frustrations that Andy may have had with Jordan and that question in particular. But I just wanted to make sure we said that. I appreciate Andy's, help with the media this year. It's been a long year for all of us. But I don't think in that instance there was anything wrong with what Jordan asked.
When Andy said at the beginning of the year, don't ask me about injuries. Don't ask me. And he thinks sometimes Jordan has kind of tried to trick him, I think, into asking about injuries. I think that's what's rubbed Andy the wrong way a little bit. That's just my perspective. Andy may disagree. Jordan may disagree. But, I'm in those press conferences too, BJ, and it feels like it's kind of like some of the questions Jordan's asked, like, maybe could be relatable to, is this guy playing or not? Like, Jordan asked him the one question is Scott Matlock going to practice this week? Like, that's not – you can say that's not an injury question. I could ask if Taylor Green's going to practice this week, right? And that's when, but – I love it. I have the best seat in the house for Andy versus Kay. I love it, man.
Yeah, it's been fun, and we'll see. But I wanted to throw that in there, Johnny. Appreciate your time, man. We'll be listening to 3 to 6. You and Mike Prater, Bob Beeler. You'll have full coverage of the Frisco Bowl, of the basketball game yesterday. A lot going on, and we got signing day on Wednesday. I do want to throw this in real quick. CJ Tiller, the quarterback commit. We're interviewing him with Bronco Nation News this afternoon. We'll get that up this evening for subscribers at Bronco Nation News. So if you want to hear the CJ Tiller interview or any of our previous interviews last week with the recruits, Breezy Dubar, Franklin Johnson Jr., go subscribe, and those will be available on the website. So we'll be listening, Johnny, 3 to 6 today, man. Appreciate your time as always. Have a great rest of your Monday, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bronco Nation News, Bronco Nation